Now that you've made your puzzle cube, you're going to want to make a case to put it inside of. And while most teachers would have you make something on Microsoft Word or something where you kind of put together a flat pattern like this, I'm going to teach you how to use another feature of Inventor called Sheet Metal, where you can actually make a 3D box and go to a flat pattern of it. And if you have a laser engraver, like we do, you can cut these out in a matter of seconds, and then you can just fold up your box, tape it up, and you're good to go. So to do that, let's exit out of this for a second here. Let's just go to New, and we're going to choose Sheet Metal and Create. And the first thing we're going to do is say how thick our sheet metal is. And we're not using sheet metal, we're using paper, so it's going to be really thin, 0.0025. Let's go to our 2D sketch. We want to pick the bottom plane here. And you may have to actually measure your puzzle cube and see how wide it actually is. It's supposed to be 2.25. I'm going to say 2.3 because when you glue up some of the pieces and you put them together, you end up having gaps. They don't go as nicely together as it does on the computer. So you have a 2.3 by 2.3 square. You finish your sketch. And instead of extrude, now we have different features up here. We're going to use face. And hit apply. Now we're going to add a flange. And the flange is going to be on this edge here. And the top edge. So you have a top and a bottom. Top edge there. We're going to make the flange also the same as your bottom. So for me it's 2.3. Okay. We're going to add another flange onto this. And this is going to be much smaller though. We'll say a 1/2 inch. And we'll pick this inside part here. Oop, got the wrong one. If I hold down Control, I can unselect. There we go. And one last one. Got the wrong one. There we go. So we have a 1/2 inch flange all the way around. Let's hit apply. And now let's make a new sketch on this surface. We're probably not going to be lucky enough that all of these match up nicely. So to make it easier to tape this or glue this together, we're going to project the geometry. And then we're just going to cut off at 45-degree angles each of these corners. And this is something where I'm just going to go ahead and put in roughly, then type in 45 degrees afterwards. You could always hit tab to where now your angle is highlighted and you can type in 45. But like right here, if you typed in 45, it'd send you out this way. So I'm not going to mess with that. Just to make it easy, let's just go ahead and put the angles in here. Oop, doesn't like that. Is that already 45? It is. We can accept that. And apparently that one is too. This was not. Because I projected these edges, it's going to see that as a closed shape. So when I go to cut, which is similar to extrude, and I pick these, I can just get those corners that I want. Hopefully. Of course, now that I say that, it's not doing it. And it looks like I missed a corner here. So let me go back into my sketch. And there's a lot of problems you might come into when you start using sheet metal, but it is something that's worth learning. Just going to delete this out again. Make sure my line starts at that corner. Now I can make sure that's 45. I'm assuming I have the same issue down here. So I'm going to delete the line, make a new line, and then dimension between the two to be 45 degrees. Finish your sketch. Go back to cut again. There, it's almost doing it. It sees that those two pieces are different. Sometimes Inventor is just not fun to work with when you're making parts like this to try and select. You have to hover your mouse in just the right place before it highlights just the part that you want. I don't know what it's looking for. I think I was having better luck over here. I might even just pause the video for a sec. There, I finally got it. I'm going to change this from distance to all and click OK. And that cuts it from both sides. Now you'd think you'd be able to do the same thing to the bottom and add a flange here. Not the case. So we have to make a new sketch, because if we did that, it'd end up intersecting with what we had before. And it doesn't like that. So we're going to project the geometry of the bottom. Pick my 2-point rectangle. By the way, if you're wondering where that menu is coming from, it's just a right click. Okay, I'm going to make this 2.3. This one, I'm going to reference this dimension. I'm going to multiply it by 2. So it's actually 4.6. I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to face both of these. So I'm adding a thickness to it. I'm saying this is a face. Alright, now I'm going to make a new sketch on here. Which I know I just made a sketch. Now I'm going to go back and make another one. I want to show where this edge was. Also want to show where that was. Like, select the line. This is not as precise as I'd like it to be. It's the easiest way to do this. And for what you guys are doing, this is fine. So we're just going to draw a line across. And we're going to get it, if you zoom in close, we want to get it close to where that other line was, but not overlapping. If you overlap, you're going to get errors. Okay, so we're going to finish this sketch. We're going to say fold on that line. Look at these arrows. These are not pointing the right way yet. We want this to go out and up and hit OK. Do the same thing with this one. I'm going to make a new sketch. I'm going to project the geometry of the outside and of this little piece here. Grab my line tool, draw a horizontal line that goes all the way across. Make sure it stays horizontal all the way, perpendicular line. Also need to make sure that it extends all the way out to those sides. Looks like mine didn't on one side and did on the other. That's good enough, I guess. Drag this down. Again, you want to get it close but not touching. Finish your sketch. We're going to fold that now. This is pointing the right direction, so I'm going to click OK. Alright, we're going to make a couple more flanges. Half inch looks fine. And we're also going to make a flange for the top of your box. And let's go a little bit bigger than a half inch. How about 0.75 for that one? We'll do 0.75 for all three. That's fine. We'll make these a little bigger. We'll make a new sketch here. Project the geometry of those two rectangles. Switch to your line tool. Make sure I grab the corner this time. Put in my 45-degree angles. Finish your sketch. Go back to cut. We can just use distance. That'll be the thickness of whatever the metal was. In this case, paper. And then we're also going to cut here. And I'll make these 45s as well. Go back to cut. And now here comes the fun part. Go to create a flat pattern. And this shows you what this would look like to cut out. How much paper you would need. And if you want, you can go to inspect. You can check that this will actually fit onto a sheet of paper. So that's 8.38. From here to here is 9.94. Normal paper is 8.5 by 11, so we are well within that. And when you bring this into your drawing, then you can add text and features and all kinds of stuff on this, and you are good to go.